And congratulations. Your latest book is Last Resort, Beyond Last Resort, the JFK assassination, the need to protect West Berlin, and why a second invasion of Cuba never happened. Wow. So this has been your real passion for a long time. Why, Walter?
You know, when I was in my mid-20s, I was probably still looking at it thinking that the Warren Commission was correct. You know, a friend gave me a book, David Lifton's Best Evidence, and I read that and I was hooked. So it's a conspiracy that killed JFK. It's a domestic and combination international conspiracy. And the evidence is clear, and it's been covered up for over 60 years.
What do you make, Walter, of the release of these files over the past, few months of the Trump administration? There was some released in his first administration. Has this shed any new light on anything?
A little bit. I mean, there's no smoking gun. I mean, we have the FAA has released information that says William Harvey, who was at the beginning of 1963, was the head of the Cuban operation, head of assassination, and that he was then banished to Rome because Robert Kennedy got into an altercation with him during the missile crisis. And so the FAA is saying that they allowed him to come back to the United States without, basically, under the radar. But we know that Harvey had met with John Roselli, mafia figure, on a number of occasions when he came back. And we've known that for years. So there is some new information, but nothing dramatic.
So it was an inside job, Walter. It was our own government who did this, not the mafia, not the Russians, not the Cubans. Was it CIA, LBJ? What? Who did? Was Lee Harvey Oswald a patsy?
He was a patsy, 100%. That doesn't mean he wasn't involved to some capacity, but he was going to be the fall guy, and he figured that out much too late. And so as far as the assassination, yes, it was a conspiracy, but there was a lot going on in 1963. First thing, after the Cuban Missile Crisis, JFK, he cracked down on all of the violent Cuban exile groups, arrested some of them, American mercenaries who worked with him, like Jerry Patrick Hemmings, Frank Sturgis, and he wanted to just kill on Cuba, primarily because he had promised or agreed to never invade Cuba again, which of course offended people on the opposite side who opposed it. Now, meanwhile, while he's doing that, he's got Bobby Kennedy, his brother, organizing Operation AmWorld with the military and with Cuban exile leftist groups who are getting together to hopefully invade Cuba with the intention of they're working with a fellow named Rolando Cubella, a Castro insider, and he is going to assassinate Castro on behalf of the CIA. In fact, he's meeting with Desmond Fitzgerald in Paris on the day of the assassination. They'd be handed weapons and what have you, and some hypodermic needles and things like that. They're also working with a fellow named Juan Almeida, a general in Castro's army, hope he can orchestrate an internal coup. And then we also have
so many players involved. We could spend weeks talking about all these players and all these connections and these motivations that people have. But what really amazes me, we're 62 years later, we're still debating this. American people, I don't think, believe the official narrative. I don't think they believe the official narrative that we've been told about a lot of different major assassinations, or the assassination attempts on President Trump, or this latest assassination of Charlie Kirk, which was the first successful political assassination in this country since '68. And that's why, I'm interested in all of these, because I think they've all been cover-ups. Walter, we only have 30 seconds. Would you agree that that's what we're facing here in this whole Charlie Kirk situation?
It could be a cover-up. I mean, so far the information we have is that he's like a lone wolf, but we don't know.
Right.
I mean, they said Oswald was also acted on his own, pro-Castro, and it turns out that Oswald had right-wing connections, and keep in mind, right-wing at that time in 1963 is a different definition than it is today.
Right.
Okay?
No, I understand.
Yeah.
All I know is this, and we're up against it, is that we haven't gotten the truth about any of these things, and we just need to keep digging and keep searching.